Hey everyone, and welcome back to the next episode of Snack and Chat. I am Erin, your dish diva, and I am joined today with Christina Butler. And she is a lifestyle coach with the Change Your Lifestyle, Change Your Life program at BWHI, at the Black Women's Health Imperative. So, we are talking about shrimp today. So, I love to see, especially since you are down in Louisiana, Christina,
hmm
I would love to see what you did with some shrimp today.
So love shrimp. It's one of my favorite meats. If you want to put it in the meat category, I could say I could eat shrimp almost every day, which sometimes you got to be careful of. And so when you said, "Hey, pick something," I was thinking in my head, I was like, I have some shrimp that I already plan to use, so that's perfect. So lately, especially with the start of the new year, everybody's like trying to refocus on, eating healthy, which is a great time to, reframe and go. And so I've been really focused on my mason jar salads. And so every single day, whether almost every day, lunch or dinner, I have a huge salad and I'll, prepare them on Sundays for like 3 to 4 days. They're really good to hold, mason jars hold them awesome.
Mhm.
And so I generally make a huge salad. That way, all I have to do is make sure to throw in some protein, whether chicken or fish. So lately, it's been fish, and I put a whole lot of very big bowl, and then I just kind of take some shrimp and then put a few pieces of shrimp in there. And it's shrimp is cool because you usually know the exact quantity that's usually like with other meat, it's like so many ounces. With
Mhm.
shrimp, it's usually like a serving size is 12. You know, off the
Yeah.
top of my head, about 12. And so it's easy to, without having to do too much, it's pretty easy to keep the portions, you
Mhm.
know. And
Mhm.
so I just toss that in there, mix that sucker up, and go at it. And it's super light, but you can pretty much put it on whatever, and you can flavor it any kind of way you want. And so I don't know if you can see my beautiful little salad
It's
that I would just
beautiful.
love and just eat my shrimp.
I love the
And
bowl.
I-
The
thank
bowl's
you, thank
very
you.
pretty.
But that's yeah, and so that's just my go-to over the week. I'll do shrimp one week, maybe mix
Mhm.
up to another protein another week.
Okay.
What
Awesome.
you
I
got?
like that. Well, I brought for show and tell. I love coconut shrimp.
hmm
Love coconut shrimp. But it's usually deep fried. And a lot of times they use like sweetened coconut. So
Right?
my thought was to try to bake it, and of
hmm
course the air fryer, you can see behind me here, it works wonders with doing like stuff that should be fried,
It
or
really does.
typically fried, but you put it in the air fryer and get that crisp on it.
I was
So
just thinking that it's crisp without the fried.
yeah,
Right.
and without and it's not drowned in oil.
hmm
So this is a little piece of the coconut shrimp. I'm hoping it'll focus a little bit better. There
Mm.
we go.
With the tail on, you prefer with the tail
Yeah,
on?
well, I did it just because I was kind of snacking. So I've got like
hmm
this little plate here. I've got a little
hmm
dip that I made. Not crazy about the dip as much, but um,
hmm
the nice thing is that I took some shrimp that was already shell off, deveined. It did still have the tails, but I mean that's just purely optional. It's
Right.
just easier to pick up, I think, for me. And then use a I use oat flour.
hmm
Oat flour tends to be a little bit sweeter, and all I did was I just took some I had like this small amount, probably like a half a cup, maybe a quarter cup of oats, of rolled oats.
hmm
And I was like,
hmm
okay, I need to buy some more or use this. But
hmm
I put it in the blender and made it oat flour. So
Oh
I
yeah,
ended up,
that's
yeah, I
fine.
mean super easy. And ended up just doing like a little blah, 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 dipped it into the oat flour and then into like a little bit of egg white
hmm
into oat flour and then rubbed it in some coconut flakes. And
Yeah.
I found some coconut flakes. I forgot to have the bag here, but I found some coconut flakes that were actually reduced in fat. So instead of
Oh
getting like
really?
10 grams of fat, it's 7 grams of fat. Because I know
hmm
coconut, it tends to be a little bit higher in the fats and stuff like that. So I was kind of conscious of that too. So I found lower fat coconut, also got
hmm
the unsweetened coconut. Um, and they came out pretty good. And they're still got a little crisp on them, and now I can enjoy it, every now and then without having to worry about, they being something deep fried.
Right.
So those damaging oils and all of that stuff. And I did spray a little bit of like spray oil on it before I put them in the oven so that they had
Hmm.
a little moisture to them, and they just came out really well. I mean, it's
I'm going to trust you on that because I'm not a coconut
no.
person. No, not generally. No, I'm trust you with that. But
Okay.
with the like I said, the different playing with how to season it and flavor it is really cool. I think the one of the things I really do like about shrimp is like with chicken, you gotta get creative
Mm-hmm.
because it's very like whatever, just the same thing over and over. And so the thing I do like is if I know I'm making salads,
Mm-hmm.
but you can flavor it so many different ways that you say, what kind of salad am I doing today? Right. And so if you want like a Southwestern salad, or you can, tailor your seasonings. So I love a good blackened. So you can, in the skillet, the blackened seasoning
Mm-hmm.
you can do, and then, blacken on the skillet and then do it like that. Um, or you can do, like I said, we out here, we love our good Tonys.
Yeah.
So we will do Tonys,
Familiar with Tony.
Tonys on everything, right? And if I feel a
Yes.
little fancy, a little oregano, put some oregano
Yeah.
on there. And so it definitely can add a different texture, flavor. You can alternate. You have your jumbo shrimp. And that's the difference too. If I'm fast, I just go right to Walmart, grab the little frozen shrimp. But if
Mm-hmm.
you really want that authentic, more natural taste, get in fresh shrimp.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that adds a lot of flavor to it as well, especially when it's, different seasons that have the bigger shrimp. So that's a really cool option too. Um, but I like doing it just in general. A lot of people think you have to put shrimp on something
Mm-hmm.
for it to be a meal, right? And so,
Right.
but in general, I'll do it's still you're thinking with your pre-planned meals, you're thinking fit protein and vegetables, but you think meat, right? Traditional meat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would literally just do the vegetables and some seasoned sauteed shrimp, and
Yeah.
that is the meat, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be on top of something as much as it just has to be your protein, added protein, which is a really cool option too. And then,
And then you get all that flavor from that Tony's. So, and
yeah, yeah,
you're saying you put that bleep on everything, right?
yes, a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And see, it's interesting too because you said the you do it in the air fryer,
Mm-hmm.
which I like doing olive oil in a skillet and saute it, and then
Mm-hmm.
because it's olive oil over vegetable oil, it's a little healthier. But then using the drippings from it on my chicken or even my vegetables a little bit to
Yeah.
flavor it, as long as it's not overdoing it. But
Yeah.
the air fryer, yeah, even if I'm like, let me tailor back some of that fat,
Yeah.
doing an air fryer will take some of that out. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, whatever you can use everything. So
Yeah.
even if it's like, that's why it's good, I think, to use another option for your oil
Mm-hmm.
because you can find a way to use it instead of like, oh, get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that
Mhm.
totally. I mean, because what we're teaching people in the CYL Square program is like to reduce the calories so that you can,
Mhm.
burn more than you're taking in. And so these little ways of reducing those calories
Mhm.
are going to make a big difference at the end of the day.
Right, right.
And you should
Also,
be
I
you should
noticed,
be eating a variety of things anyway, so it shouldn't be just shrimp all the time. But you're
right.
varying it up because you're getting different nutrients from all these things that you're eating.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also noticed what I found out is even if, so like, as you're growing and learning about better ways, you go from maybe using butter
Yeah.
to using oils
Hmm.
to more recently, now they have the olive oil cooking spray.
Yes.
And so instead of actually using the oil, which again, you can kind of get heavy handed thinking, oh, I only used this much when you really didn't. You literally, I've started using the cooking spray to just coat the pan. So it's less, and
Hmm.
it's just the spray just to get that, that
Yeah.
char on it. And so it leaves less residue, but you're also using a lot less than you think. So it gives the shrimp and whatever else you're cooking that flavor, but it also finds a way to kind of reduce, your fat intake as well with that.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a
Mhm.
big fan of the spray stuff, and like I said, I sprayed a little bit on the shrimp before I put it in the oven. But it's the nice thing about doing like an olive oil or even an avocado oil,
Mhm.
grapeseed oil is good. Like, is that you're actually getting some benefits from those fats too. And
Mhm.
obviously, they're going to be higher in calories because they are fats, but you're getting benefits as opposed to using something like a canola oil, which
Mhm.
doesn't have any good fats in it. So that's
Right.
another thing to kind of look at too when you're playing around with the food and what things you're adding to it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's interesting because a lot of people, especially like I said, Southern Louisiana, we love our seafood,
Yes, I'm
but it's
sure.
always shrimp. is when it comes to shrimp, it's always fried. It's either fried or drowned in pasta and sauce, right?
Yes.
And so as soon as you think shrimp, out here, it's either shrimp pasta of some variety or
Mm-hmm.
fried shrimp with some French fries and some onion rings, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the thing cut out. You know, a lot of people think, well, how else can I have shrimp? That's good for me if you're telling me I shouldn't be eating all this fried food or shouldn't have stuff smothered in sauce. And I'm like, you know, there's
Yeah.
lots of other ways you can do, you know, and put it with something,
Yeah.
right? It can be your main meal with some vegetables. It can be complement to an amazing salad. Um, and just help fill you up in different ways. So it's a variety, I think, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not one that people talk about because you think your main meats, you
Yeah.
know, or your salmon,
Yeah.
you know, either red meat, chicken breast, whatever, or salmon, and it's like no, those, you know, shrimp has a place too. Don't sleep on my shrimp. You know?
But you know what? And speaking of salmon, because everybody, thinks about salmon as the go-to for getting like those omega-3 fatty acids, shrimp
Mm-hmm,
actually
mm-hmm.
has a high amount of omega-3 fatty acids as well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you're doing good by eating some shrimp.
Mm-hmm,
It is a little bit high. It's higher in cholesterol, which
mm-hmm,
um, some people get a little nervous about. But typically,
mm-hmm.
what they're finding out with research now is that foods that are high in cholesterol don't necessarily affect your cholesterol level.
The
Um,
overall level, right?
yeah, because the cholesterol is produced by the liver, and so if you're eating more high cholesterol foods, your
Mm-hmm,
liver doesn't produce as much cholesterol. So it's kind of
mm-hmm.
they're still researching it and all of that stuff too. But one
Yeah.
benefit to shrimp is that it's lower in saturated fat, where you have like
Mm-hmm.
a steak that's high in cholesterol and saturated fat. Shrimp doesn't have that saturated fat, so
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
another
So
reason.
that's something that's good to maybe, yeah. And that's what I tell people is, you know, why everybody is different. It's
Mhm.
not as hard as scary as you think with when they say things are high in cholesterol, but to like introduce it to your diet a few days a week,
Mhm.
you know, to what you eat. Don't overdo it. But you know, start doing a few days a week to mix it up, you
Yeah.
know, but at the same time moderate how you feel, you know, and just to see because it can add a lot of options and you know, things like that with it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, you had mentioned like eating it with vegetables and stuff. My plate here,
Mm-hmm.
but I have got because I always am thinking I have to have something green with my plate,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
so ironically, I had to run to the store, and my friend was coming by, and she was like, "Can you just pick up some kale?" And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." So it was on sale too for something. So I just got
Mm-hmm.
bunches because I was like, I always love having some like it's the dino kale. So
Mm-hmm.
the leaves are a little bit smoother and it's darker green. But I was like, I love having it in the house because I can usually just chop it up really small and just kind of eat it or saute
You
it.
do whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
So she was like, I just put some lemon juice and olive oil and Parmesan on it. And
Oh.
the lemon juice basically breaks down the leaves so that they're much softer. And so you're not
Mm-hmm.
getting that big fibrous bite with it. And I did that, and I did some sliced onion in there as well. So now
Mm-hmm.
I've got
Well,
like
that
my
sounds real
green
good.
beans too. But you're getting, and so when you're thinking about a food that has like high cholesterol or high fat, like I'm always thinking, okay, let's make sure we're moving this through our system too. With that
Right.
sometimes can get caught up
Gotta
in
make sure we stay regular, you know.
yes. So the greens or eating something fibrous with it is going to help that too, and that's what helps
Right.
with lowering cholesterol is eating higher fiber foods.
That yeah, that's funny because I was thinking, especially if you start to have a very consistent way of eating. And so yesterday, kind of hang around the house. The Sundays are really looser, and I'm like testing what I'm eating while
Hmm.
I'm cooking on Sundays and whatever. And by the end of the day, I thought I didn't have any vegetables today. Like it was very clear in my head
Uh-huh.
that I just kind of picked that food I didn't really eat consistently, and I didn't have any vegetables. And it was just weird to think that actually bothered me because
Yeah.
I was so used to it. And so then I thought, what am I eating today? And I was like, great, got my salad ready. All I
Mhm.
do is dump that sucker out. I didn't have to prepare it, you know, all of that. So I was like, cool, because initially when you think, oh man, I need something to eat, if you don't have that prepared, you're gonna go sideways because I don't have time
Mhm.
to fix anything that I should eat. Let me
Mhm.
just find something. So the salad was already in a jar. Dumped the salad out, grabbed the shrimp I had fixed a few days before in the fridge, dumped that on, and was good to go. So yeah, just making sure if I'm eating that fruit, I mean eating the something that has some cholesterol or has the meat,
Yeah.
you're eating enough vegetables as well. but that contributes to everything. So just all those vegetables as well,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
definitely good.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to start doing that salad in a jar thing because
it's been amazing.
I
It's been a definite lifesaver.
yeah, well because I like
Hmm.
will have everything in the refrigerator ready to go. And then when it comes down
Hmm.
to it, I'm like, I don't feel like doing it. But if
Yeah,
I could just take
yeah.
the time to put it in the jar and have it ready to go, man, that would save me a lot of time and effort.
And here's the thing with that is what I learned is so initially when I first say this is going to be my go-to for the week, when I first start that plan,
Mhm.
yeah, I may have to buy a big bulk of stuff because I have like a lot of stuff in the
Yeah.
salad. But once you start running out, you're only buying one or two little vegetables. So individually, those things don't cost much, right?
Right.
Oh, I need to buy some bell peppers. Oh, and maybe a red onion here and there. And so it's not expensive. You know, you may have to pay a little bit more in the beginning, but it stretches. And
Yeah.
so by on accident, I found out in a jar that sucker lasted a week and a half
Oh wow.
in the jar, right? I forgot I had one. And then I was looking, I'm like, wait, a couple of my spinach was a little wilted.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, that salad was still good after a week and a half. Like if I had just left the vegetables in the fridge by themselves,
Mm-hmm.
or they would not have lasted a week and a half, right? But
Right.
in that jar, airtight, it was good. I didn't have to cut anything. I just like great, got lunch to go, and it's so portable. Again, I got salads. What meat do I want to throw? What protein do I want to throw in? Some days I think I did just threw some black beans and corn in it, made a little southwestern salad.
There you go. Easy.
You know,
Well,
and so it's like no excuse.
mm-hmm. Can you explain to the people that are watching what you do with your jar of salads?
Shucks. I wish if I had, I would have waited to put it in there. But nice big old jar. I don't know quite the size. It might
Separate
say it 26, 20. There's a 28 on the bottom, or
20
maybe
ounce.
it's 28. I prefer the wide jar because
Yeah.
it's easier to stuff.
Yes.
Um, and so literally your green base, whatever that is,
Mm-hmm.
spinach, kale. I prefer the spinach, kale, whatever you use, and the secret, and then all the vegetables you want. The secret is to put the watery vegetables at the bottom. So my tomatoes, my cucumber, bell peppers, so I put those in first. And so that way you're not having that water saturate all the way through the salad. It's sitting
Yeah.
at the bottom,
You're not
right?
going to have a soggy salad when you do this.
Not gonna have a soggy salad. All the sogginess is already sitting at the bottom, right? And then you just kind of start layering. And the best part about it is, especially with that spinach, I don't know about the other greens so much because I don't use it too much, like kale.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you can just compact it. It's like the Chinese rice bowls. It's just so compacted and
Okay.
it's pretty. We like pretty stuff.
Yeah.
It's so compacted. And so you just start throwing in your vegetables. You can measure them out. I also like the salads because I don't have to measure a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's cucumbers, it's
Yeah.
tomatoes. It's just
Eat
what looks good to me.
those. Right. Eat as many
Right.
vegetables as you can.
Right. The more the merrier to some extent, right? And just
Mhm.
start layering that. And then I put the my greens on top and just smash, 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 smash. And then on top, at the very top, I'll put like a cranberry. I have a little bit of cranberry, which watch your sugar, so I'll put a little bit for
Mhm.
like a little sweetness.
Mhm.
I usually put some type of nut in it. And so it's funny because my husband is quick to say, "Are you measuring? You know how much you're doing this and that?" And I'm like, "Well, the vegetables I don't. The higher calorie dense stuff I do. So your
Mhm.
cranberries or whatever. Some like the strawberry salad you can do too.
Yeah.
I do sliced almonds or walnuts. So it's like I measure that very meticulously. I like feta cheese, so I put the
Mhm.
feta, but I measure that too.
Mhm.
All that on top, and just screw it up. And that way you just got that whole jar and your meat or your
Mhm.
protein source, and you're good to go wherever you want. And then I'd like to do this is the quick one. I just got a raspberry vinaigrette, raspberry light, 30 calories, but do have I forgot the name of it, but there is a Skinny Girl raspberry
Okay.
vinaigrette, and that's like
Okay.
0 calories. And I think my grocery store was out of that one, so I bought this one. And so I prefer the vinaigrette over the creamy base
Mhm.
dressing, of course, less fat. And it's so filling. And I'll just mix up a couple with that, just vegetables. Some I'll just put the black beans and corn, and that's good for like your black and Southwest seasoning and the
Mhm.
shrimp.
Mhm.
And you could have so that's helps. Everybody's like, salad's so boring. It's like, well, if you mix up the types of salads,
Yeah.
you can use a salsa dressing. If I
Yep.
put that black beans and corn, I might do a salsa, which is very good, also. And you kind of just mix it up and play with it and say, oh, do this one this day, this one that day.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and like you
Yeah.
said, you can mix up the proteins that changes it, or you could just do the beans and corn. Like
Mm-hmm.
you could
Mm-hmm.
throw in some like grains if you wanted to, some rice or quinoa.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and so that's another one. I've never tried it, but I've seen a couple that I like with that with the quinoa. Shrimp is my
Mhm.
go-to just because. And again, there's you can thaw them so quickly. That's too. I'm like, oh shoot, I don't
Yeah.
have anything to cook with my throw on my salad. 5 minutes in the water, shrimp is good to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's always my go-to. Like I said, out here we love our shrimp. So, oh, and let me find a good truck with some shrimp on the side of the road. That's the best shrimp. That fresh shrimp on the side of the road. Yes,
Mm.
sir.
Well, I used to live in Hawaii, and they had a shrimp truck there. Like if you went to the northern end of the island,
Mm-hmm.
and we always had to stop there. We're like, no, 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 we got to stop at the shrimp trucks. And you just had this big plate of shrimp. It was so good, so fresh.
So good. I'm
And
so
I think
used to my dad calling, hey, it's the shrimp guys on the highway. You want something? Yes.
yeah,
Find me
please.
give me the shrimp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Well, and I think
So,
that kind of takes us to another topic before we get off of here is, I just read that 80% of the shrimp, because it's in such high demand here in this country, is imported from like China,
mm-hmm,
Indonesia, Thailand, Canada, and a lot of them are farm raised.
mm-hmm,
And so when they're farm raised, they tend to add things into the water to make sure the shrimp don't get sick, like
mm-hmm,
antibiotics. They may add in like something to help color the shrimp because typically
mm-hmm.
it should be that pinkish color when they're cooked. Um,
Right.
and if they're not, then people are going to be like, I'm not going to eat that.
Right.
So they have to add stuff in there to make sure that they do. And, if they're not eating the natural algae and stuff that they normally would in the wild, they wouldn't naturally get that color.
Mm-hmm,
So we always have to be mindful of where the stuff is coming from too.
mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of that good, better, best level when you're thinking about
Right.
it. I mean, of course, like wild caught will probably be better because it's going to be fresher. They're going to eat what they should naturally be eating out in the wild versus farm
Right.
raised. If that's all you have, then that's going to be okay. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
just kind of keeping that in mind and in perspective because everybody has these different resources, different budgets, So
Yeah.
when we're talking about anything in general, we're talking about doing it in moderation in the first place, right?
Right.
Want to
And
make
it's interesting because, yeah, like I said, a lot of people think what's in the wild, you got all these unknown things in the wild.
yeah.
So I don't know if I want wild caught, but then not knowing what they're doing farm raised to keep them at a certain level is also not the most natural process.
Right.
Right. And it's different. It's interesting, like you said, because looking at when I thaw out frozen shrimp in the bag, that's probably farm raised versus the shrimp I see straight off the truck.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, I don't even know what the color, clear, opaque,
Yeah.
that whiter shrimp. And it's like that's straight wild caught shrimp. That's what shrimp naturally looks like,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of people. So is there, because I'm not sure. I know they do organic chicken, whatever. Is there for shrimp? Is there that version of it?
I don't know that
Organic?
I've seen organic
No.
seafood at all. It's either, I think the big thing is
It's
like
just
wild caught
called,
or
okay.
farm raised. And like you can look at places and find out if it's
Mm-hmm.
sustainably, like some of the things it'll say sustainably raised. And sometimes they'll be in more of ocean open, like in containers, but in the ocean. So they're still
Right.
able to get some of the same things that they would normally eat first. And then they may not add antibiotics to it. So, it's just about reading labels always. So if you're
Yeah.
concerned about that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But then on the other hand, with wild caught, you have to worry about mercury. There's a lot of mercury in the ocean, and like shrimp are like bottom feeders. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's where a lot of the toxins and stuff accumulate at the bottom of the sea. So I mean, like I said, there's just a balance there that you could just kind of have to figure out what works best for you at the end of it.
Right, right. And like I was saying before, it's so funny to think I'm sitting here worried about what's in shrimp when we would eat crawfish straight off a boat, not knowing what's in it from the bottom of the mud pits, right? Just wash that shrimp and go at it. But yeah, trying to think, oh, let me be extra healthy and pay attention to where the shrimp it needs to be done.
Yeah.
But it's like, but then again, if I'm eating shrimp as much as I am, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Crawfish is a couple times a season type of thing. All, but yeah, the shrimp also is like as much as we can eat with the shrimp. It's definitely good to say where where is that from and where, how is it prepared, or is it taken care of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, this has been a great conversation. I
Mhm.
love chatting with you always.
And always, I love, and I actually, you have to send me the coconut recipe. I might try that since I do like certain forms of coconut shrimp.
Yeah. And honestly, like when I'm eating it, I'm not getting a whole lot of like coconut flavor because, with the
It's
flour,
sweet though, right?
I got the unsweetened. So I didn't
Okay.
I got the unsweetened because I didn't want the sugar. But
Mhm.
that's why I used the oat flour because the oat flour tends to be a little bit sweeter. And just naturally. But then I added in the flour, I added in a little bit of salt, some paprika, some onion and
Mhm.
garlic powder. So it's got some other flavors going on. So it kind of masks some of the coconut. So yeah, you may enjoy it. I'll be sure to post the recipe, the tweak recipe.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with experimenting with recipes. If I have to think through if my son will eat it because he eats almost everything, and so I'm
Okay.
like, okay, plan B if I don't like it,
Yeah, give it to
will
him.
he eat it? Right. I don't want to just be like, ugh. But yeah, I have a feeling that he definitely like that.
Oh yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying it, and it tastes a little bit better than the fried ones, only because
Mhm.
sometimes the fried stuff, like all of it, just loses the flavor. So you're basically
You
relying
take
on the
the
dip for
side,
the
the
flavor.
crust.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you're relying on what you're dipping it in. Typically with the coconut shrimp, you're dipping it in like a really, like maybe a Thai chili sauce, but it's like a very sweet sauce.
Yeah.
So it's just fried food with some sweet sauce. So that's why I like
Yeah.
this one. It's definitely a little bit more mild, and you can
Okay.
taste the
I'm gonna have
shrimp.
to try that.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
That
I'll make sure I
works.
post it. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Well,
Well,
thank
thank
you so
you
much
for
again.
joining me. Yeah, thank you for joining me today. And like I said,
Anytime.
everybody that's watching, I'm going to post the recipes here. I'm going to do a jar. I need to get big jars because I have these little tiny jars for
Mhm.
salads that won't work. So I'm going to
So
do a
yeah,
jar. Yeah,
fine.
or
That
you
would be a really
can
cool
do a
one.
jar. You can take a picture of your next jars that you make, and I'll post that, or you can post it.
Oh yeah.
Get
I
your
have 2 more in the fridge. Absolutely.
take a picture and post it on the app, and then
Okay.
you can reference this snack and chat. So if they want to learn more about how to build them, they can
Will
watch the
do.
episode. Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank
Thank
you
y'all for
everybody for
watching.
joining, and we'll see you again. Bye for now.
Bye.